Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 76th Emerging Growth Conference and day 2 of our 2-day Super Virtual Investor Conference. I'm Anna Berry. Just a few notes. Today we're running until 5 p.m. Eastern, and when we switch to the next company, you might see a black screen for a moment. If you do experience downtime, refresh your browser. Everything should work properly once you do that. And our platform does work best on Google Chrome. So if you're watching from an Apple device, you have to hit the play button to start the session. Now, during each company's presentation, you can submit questions through the webcast module, and we will attempt to address as many of these at the end of their presentation. And remember, all of our conferences are uploaded to the Emerging Growth Conference YouTube channel, so please subscribe there, youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. All right, one last note. After today's event, you'll be redirected to the registration page for our next conference. Please stay on or come back to reserve your spot early. Let's get started. Happy to welcome Monumental Energy Corp. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol MNMRF and on the TSXV under the symbol MNRG, and is an exploration company focused on the acquisition, exploration, and development of properties in the critical and clean energy sector. Happy to welcome VP of Corporate Development, Founder, and Director, Max Sali. Welcome to the conference today, Max.
Thank you very much for having me on your channel and on this conference.
Okay, well, give us a little rundown of the company and then call me back when you're ready for some questions.
All right, so Monumental's had a number of assets over the last 3 years. We are right now strictly focused on global lithium and liquid assets. We have a couple of salars, but have recently made a move into oil and gas. And so if you look at our page here, what you see in the background is our new acquisition we just announced last week, where we will be receiving a royalty to put workover wells back into production. This is in New Zealand. Very beautiful place to be working. Let's get right into it here. So we have a few investments in New Zealand. One, we've invested into a actual former producer and near-term producer gas company called New Zealand Energy Corp. We had excess cash, made the investment into this company. They're currently drilling a gas well in New Zealand. They've pre-sold gas to market. And if this gas well is successful, we'll be paying Monumental shareholders a dividend, which is very good for us. We recently entered into a 25% royalty agreement on a few workover wells. These are past producing wells, so we'll get into that later, but very de-risked. And in New Zealand, you're getting your Brent crude pricing, which is the highest price for oil. We have 2 assets in Chile, lithium brine assets. Our main asset is called Salar de Laguna Blanca. It is a very high-grade lithium and cesium asset. Cesium is used in oil and gas drilling, so it works with our business model of moving into oil and gas. And then we have an NSR or a royalty on a second salar that we sold earlier in the year. Myself and our board, we are mixed with New Zealand Energy Corp. Myself, I've had a few successes in the past, including selling a lithium company to Orocobre, now Elchem, in 2020 for $69 million. If you had held on to those shares in Elchem, the deal was worth about $400 million in 2024, end of 2023 at the peak of the lithium market. It's a very good transaction. Everyone on the board is a shareholder and continues to buy shares in the company. One of the main things why we were able to invest in this other company, usually as a junior company, you can't invest into other public companies. We received a waiver from the TSX, which was great. New Zealand Energy Corp was a larger producer about 14 years ago. Very successful. Stock went from $1.25 to $4. And they purchased 50% of a production facility, which is in very good condition. And so all of the oil and gas that we will be producing with them, or that they are producing, goes to this production facility. You can see here in the background on the slide. Very beautiful. Lots of rolling hills, cattle, sheep, and then you have this oil and gas facility, and everything goes directly to market. So we have a significant share position in them, and on their success, it becomes our success as the value of those shares increase for Monumental. Here again, we can see the Waihapa production facility. Again, good working conditions, lots of kilometers to get right to market in the New Zealand market. And something to mention about the New Zealand market is because they've been so delayed in gas production over the last 10 years, the price of gas in New Zealand dollars is about $25 an MCF, New Zealand. So that would be probably about $15 US. So when you look at that conversion, most gas prices in North America are $2.50 to $3.50. So a significant premium that we are getting, or they are receiving, for the sale of gas. one of the main reasons we invested in this company is their share structure, what they could be able to produce, the revenue they could produce. And that led us to doing this next transaction right here, which is called Copper Moki workovers. So again, same image from the front of the presentation. These wells produce almost 1 million barrels of oil of near Brent crude pricing, which went right to market. These wells were shut in when the price of oil came off in 2014-15, and then just lack of capital went into them. And so what we're going to do is restart these wells. We have an updated reserve report of about 200,000 barrels. So it's not a massive reserve, but to start these wells again is roughly 675,000 Canadian, which would be $550 US, so very, very inexpensive. And that will get things going back online. We'll be doing flush production around 250 to 300 barrels a day. So we'll get 75% of our payback first and then go into a no-risk 25% royalty. So any costs incurred following the production will be covered by New Zealand Energy Corp, not Monumental. So it's a very successful transaction for us. And this will lead into bigger deals with them in the future, as they recently announced. And so it's a good way to get our foot in the door, generate some revenue to Monumental, and this will begin in early Q1 of 2025. When you talk about different salars, lithium prices have come off significantly. It's seen globally, but that's not stopping investment in lithium for Thacker Pass, which will be a clay mine in Nevada. The Department of Energy just loaned them $2.26 billion US, and GM put in $625 million US. So lithium is not going anywhere. There's been cycles, if you look at lithium over the past 12 to 14 years. And when it does return, our salar in Chile is very, very, very high grade. And Chile is part of the National Inflation Reduction Act. So we can send our product to the United States. If you're a country like Argentina, which is producing, you cannot, because you do business with China and Russia. So it's very good strategically for us. And the government of Chile is slowly opening the doors for more lithium development. And we're as close to being on the front line of getting these permits as you could possibly be. One of the nice things about this, our big salar, is the cesium aspect. So cesium is produced from only one mine in the world. It's in Canada. It's in Manitoba. And it's called the Tanko mine, and it's owned by the Chinese. So there's really hard to find a spot price. But it's so expensive that oil and gas companies doing offshore drilling rent it and recover it. And it's used as a lubricant. So we have a very large land package with a lot of cesium. We'll work towards a resource, and we could be able to ship that cesium, make a concentrate, and then sell it to oil and gas producers all over the world, which would be a very big market for Monumental based on our market cap right now. The scaling of this would be phenomenal for increasing shareholder value. In terms of the structure, very clean structure, under 60 million shares out, under 58, 57 out. We've kept it clean since we did our IPO in 2021. We've only done public-to-public transactions, so with other companies. So when you're vending in, you're not issuing a ton of shares for different assets. We have very good shareholders. We've raised very good capital. I am one of the largest shareholders. And I think that this is a good, when you're buying a stock, you want it to be tight. And you want it to be a good structure and good shareholders. So we have cash on hand along with marketable securities, whatever we need in the very near term to generate ourselves revenue. And then we can look at bigger oil and gas opportunities that have 15 to 25 million barrels of reserves, and then be able to generate significantly more by drilling new wells later on in 2025. Again, thank you for listening to this presentation. I look forward to your questions now, Anna.
All right. Thank you for that. Talk a little bit about the history of Monumental Energy Corp and your reasoning for this current shift into more oil and gas.
So Monumental came out in 2021. It was Monumental Gold. The price of gold was doing quite well. It's obviously doing a lot better now. Gold is almost $2,800 now. When we did this deal originally as an IPO, gold was about 21. It's been interesting, though, because the gold price is going up. And so if you look at producers' balance sheets, they're incredible and their revenue. But investing in gold stocks has been just bitter, especially for the junior market. So we ended up getting into lithium and getting two salars, very high grade. And during the lithium rally, just the delays with community issues in Chile were difficult. And our salars are near two producers, SQM and Albemarle, which are both listed on the American Stock Exchange. And they're very big market caps. And, so we're strategically in a good position. But dealing with community it's been a delay. So we had excess capital, and our shareholders said, well, what else can we do in energy? And we looked and invested in oil and gas, and now we are personally working with a company to generate our own revenue in oil and gas. And it's a good shift. The nice thing about these wells we're drilling is it's near-term revenue. And if you look at any business model in mining, that doesn't happen. You can't mine for near-term revenue, but oil and gas on a little bit of risk and a bit of success can create enough revenue to move these companies forward and then allow us to generate more from bigger assets.
And talk a little bit more about this new project you've signed a royalty agreement on, and why is it beneficial for Monumental?
Yeah, well, I mean, for most of these companies you see on the OTCQB have revenue, and they're always raising money. And so for us to be able to have a bit of revenue to fund what we're doing and other ideas, and then obviously add to our balance sheet, non-dilutive to raising shares, is always a good thing. New Zealand's a great jurisdiction to work in. You're getting super, super quality Brent crude oil, near Brent crude oil pricing, and everything goes to market. So your risk is low. You have a conventional past producing oil wells that you're starting up again that go right to a facility. In terms of a low risk transaction, we've found it, we've done it, and I think we can build off this success that we will start in Q1 of 2025.
Perfect. And discuss your lithium asset that was previously your flagship asset before this.
Yeah, so Laguna Blanca is about 12,500 hectares in Chile, near SQM and Albemarle's producing assets. They are the only producing assets in Chile, but we're very close. It is a brine. Brine is the most economic form of lithium, especially when the price comes off. Lots of lithium companies were selling to bigger producers or companies when the price of lithium were in this range where it is now. Had a run up, came off, but we're very comfortable with the size of the salar. We have grades of about 1,250 milligrams per liter surface sampling. We did some auger holes to a few meters deep just after snowfall, and we were getting over 400 milligrams per liter. And our lithium to magnesium ratio was very, very good. So it's a very good quality brine. So this is an asset that once the price of lithium comes back, hopefully we can move it forward with the community. We're working with them right now, and this will be a very valuable asset to the company. So we're looking forward to working on this later in 2025.
And talk a little bit about the lithium market. Where do you see it going?
You know what? If you've looked at lithium over the last 15 years, you have 2014, 15, 16, 2021, 22. And so it will come back. As I mentioned before, with the U.S. now working on getting fat capacitor production and the Department of Energy needing this critical metal, there's no shortage of lithium assets. It's just the price needs to come up to make them economical. And as the price comes up, a salar like we have is first in line to be economical. And brine has been extracted for years and years and years. The hard rock and the clays are very difficult, especially clays that, as it comes up, it doesn't have to skyrocket like it did before, just enough to get more eyes on the project and then move it forward.
And so with lithium, how does that connect to the oil market? What is going on with oil in New Zealand specifically?
Yeah, I mean, this is when we changed our name to Monumental Energy. We looked at everything in energy, and lithium brine is a liquid, oil and gas is a liquid, and so it's oil, especially drilling for oil, is very similar to like drilling for lithium. Your brine, you're flowing a liquid out of the ground, and obviously with oil you can't evaporate it like you in lithium, but it's really easy to define an oil target, and same with lithium brine. For a few holes you can get a resource. Because the brine is very homogeneous. And with oil, if you can drill and hit a target, you could be flowing right away. So, in terms of energy, we're doing, green and clean on the lithium, but on the oil side, it will generate revenue to be able to finance our lithium. And so I think it's a good business model. And I look forward to this deal being approved by the exchange in the next few days and then coming back trading on the OTCQB.
How exciting. Talk a little bit about New Zealand. You own a lot of stock in New Zealand Energy Corp, so provide some insight into that.
Yeah, so they had a company that essentially had a lot of high quality assets, but just couldn't raise the capital over the last number of years to put them back into production. The government in New Zealand for a long time didn't want a lot of onshore production, and offshore they were looking to ban it. It didn't happen, but the delay and the them trying to shift to a cleaner energy source didn't happen. If you look at New Zealand as a country, it's a little sliver in the middle of the ocean. Where are you going to get your energy from? And so New Zealand had its essentially the company restructured, rolled back. We had the opportunity to invest with cash, and now we're partners with them. If they have success, we have success. And it's a company that made a lot of people a lot of money first time around. Now it's their second round, and they have good management, good shareholders, and I look forward to their success. As I said, their success benefits us, and then it now puts our foot in the door with this royalty asset. But then following that, as they announced the other day, we want to work more with them with some of their assets to drill potentially new wells in 2025 that would generate significant revenue to both of us.
And Max, you founded and sold a few previous companies. You mentioned that earlier. So talk a little bit about those and what you think the exit strategy is for Monumental.
So, yeah, I got to say, so the biggest win was Advantage Lithium, which was sold to a producer. They're producing out of our asset now in Argentina. And, before that was just an investor and had some very big wins. In fact, two of the wins was one, New Zealand Energy went from $0.25 to $4, and the other player in New Zealand at the time went from 10 cents to $11. So I wanted to get into doing deals, building good vehicles, which we have. And, as an exit, I think that if we're able to generate revenue and to show stable reserves and production, you could see mergers happen in New Zealand. You could see someone else potentially buy us, or Monumental just becomes a great cash flowing business. And then ourselves down the line pay a dividend to our shareholders. Again, this is forward looking. I'm always excited about what we over here at New Zealand, in New Zealand, is what we're supposed to do. I work for the shareholders and I work for Monumental. And as one of the largest shareholders, I want to see it work out for everybody, including myself.
Absolutely. Now, it's good to see buying from directors and founders. So talk a little bit about that, because you own a lot of stock in this company and you've bought a lot in the market. Tell us why.
You know what? I mean, you have to practice what you preach. If you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And a lot of people don't buy their own shares. So why would I buy shares if the CEO's not buying their own company, right? And I love what I do. And as you can see, I'm, fully committed to Monumental with all the gear, and I wear it every day, right? I try and share the story with as many people as I can. And obviously now you and all of your listeners and viewers. And hopefully, we can create something good and benefit everybody. And if anyone needs to contact me, here is all the details. And again, thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, perfect. Quick question. Let's just get into what can investors look forward into the future? It's a perfect way to close.
A good question. So Q1 2025, we will begin the workovers on these wells. Those should take only about 3 weeks. Success of our partner's gas well should come online, I would say sometime December, January. That will benefit us significantly. Also, the price of lithium moving back up. Right now, the Chilean government is going through a process to grant exploitation licenses. And so there is another round of this coming up later in the year. Hopefully, we'll be granted this license, which would be great for us. And then working with the community. The community that we're dealing with is the community behind SQM and Albemarle. They're a very smart community. They've put together a lithium board themselves to speak to companies like us to kind of review our projects and then pick which ones they want to work with. So I think there's a lot of good energy going into 2025 for Monumental, and a lot of catalysts, including success from our oil wells, reviewing other assets in New Zealand and drilling a whole new well. I was just on site with our legal doing due diligence on about 6 or 7 potential assets. And so it's a good stepping stone where we are. And I think 2025 will be a pivotal year for us and generate revenue.
Wonderful. Exciting time to be in your industry. Thank you so much for coming on to our conference, and please come back in the future with some updates.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
All right, everyone, stay with us. We'll be right back.